Denny, what was very interesting is Miami just collecting ex-49ers running backs. That's all Shanahan disciples know how to do. Yeah. It's a very self-contained, small universe. Like once you're in the Shanny-verse, you kind of never leave it. So Mike McDaniel, when he needed a new running back, he knew exactly what to do. Call up his old boss, Kyle Shanahan. Like, I need Jeff Wilson down here in Miami, like kind of stat. Like ASAP, pronto. They send him down. He immediately leads a committee that features ex-49ers running back as well. Raheem Mostert outhandled him 12-9. Yep. And Chicago's 12 touches were his most since week 5, by the way, for Jeff Wilson. So he's getting more usage than he even got in San Francisco. Is this a blip? Is this like a changing of the guard? What is it other than we know extremely annoying for the foreseeable future?
It's not annoying for me, who has Jeff Wilson in, let me check, every league. So I am somewhat bullish on it. And that does, look, just as a peek behind the curtain, that affects how fantasy analysts talk about players, okay? Like if I had Raheem Mostert in every league, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care about Jeff Wilson. But let me tell you the facts on Jeff Wilson, whether I like him or not. Obviously, he's very familiar with this system. Let me read you a quote that he had from just the day after he was acquired by Miami. It's like riding a bike. I've been doing this since day one. Same running styles, same passing styles, same one-on-one matchups to get you in the open field. Everything's the same. It's something I've been doing. It's something I'm comfortable with. It's very, very familiar to
really laying it on thick.
He said the same thing 11 different ways, and you have to respect that.
It's almost thou doth protest too much. Maybe the system's totally different. I don't know.
Maybe no.
Laying it on way too thick there, Jeff.
Also, I mean, I couldn't find Mike McDaniel's. Maybe our listeners can. Mike McDaniel's quote about Jeff Wilson, but he basically went full Belichick and was like, when you talk about the most important people in this country's history, you talk about Abraham Lincoln, you talk about MLK Jr., and you talk about Jeff Wilson. Anyway, Wilson's been good this year, actually really good. He's 10th in yards before contact per carry. Only 7 running backs are higher in next-gen stats, rush yards over expected per attempt. In other words, he has been very, very efficient. The thing is, Raheem Mostert has also been somewhat efficient. So it's not like Mostert has been bad. I'm not trying to say that. But I think that in the first game, in the debut, 5 days after he's traded to Miami, for him to out-snap and out-touch, I believe, Raheem Mostert is a signal that it could be Jeff Wilson's backfield down the line, although Mostert is definitely going to keep mixing in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those really, really frustrating situations, just where, like, the Shanny game plan, Mike McDaniel in this case, is this kind of always be a little inscrutable, like ahead of time, where you might have a good idea of what it might be, but you're not going to really know until the game starts. And there could be some weeks where I feel like, again, it's close to 20 Raheem Mostert touches. Because really, why would anyone ever be game planning like 15 Jeff Wilson touches? I don't really understand why, but he's a perfectly fine role player. I will concede that point.
You're such a hater.
I am, for some reason, a Jeff Wilson hater.
I don't get it.
I don't know what he did to me.
What he did to you is you have Raheem Mostert on your team.
I actually don't. I don't have either of them this year.
No?
I had a lot of Elijah Mitchell last year. I will say that.
I'm usually really good at sussing out who has whom on their fantasy teams according to how they talk about them. I assumed you had 100% Mostert.
I actually don't. I don't know where the Jeff Wilson disdain comes from. It's kind of more, I think maybe like Shanny. Sometimes I get annoyed at like the Shanny coaching tree and just like kind of like not broadening the horizons. Like, well, the only guy who can run this system is Jeff Wilson.
I know.
So we just got to do it. One player in the league we can trade for. It's why we traded 3 first-round picks for Jeff Wilson.
Right. We had a choice between Saquon Barkley and Jeff Wilson. We had to go with Jeff Wilson.
Yeah. So I think that's where a little of it comes from. But
yeah,
I do agree that it needed to become a committee because Raheem Mostert, you're playing with fire, giving a player with his injury history that many touches. He seemed to kind of already be wearing down on his workload. So I actually do understand why they went out and got another back and added in this backfield. And we'll just be upfront that I think it'll be hard for me to prognosticate in like the rankings column. So
right, I will say that even though the Dolphins are top 5 in pass rate over expected, obviously pass first team, like no matter what. Okay, they're in like the Bills Chiefs conversation right now. That still creates a positive fantasy environment for whoever can be the lead back in that situation. Teams are backing off. Teams are playing the pass. They're scared to death of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So it does open up some good spots for whoever takes on that role.